Every bad boss you've ever had was a warning. A warning that the system for choosing leaders is fundamentally broken. Most people think it's just bad luck, a personality clash, or a single hiring mistake. They're wrong. This isn't an accident. It's a predictable mechanical process, and your career is one of its gears. The debate over why this happens has raged for 50 years because both sides are pointing to a painful truth about the nature of work itself. Where do you stand? By the end of this, you might change your mind. The idea has a name: the Peter Principle. In 1969, Lawrence J. Peter observed that in any hierarchy, people tend to be promoted based on their performance in their current role. They keep rising. They get raises, they get bigger titles. This continues until they finally land in a position where they are no longer competent. And there they stop. They have reached their level of incompetence. The organization is now stuck with them, and they are stuck in a job they can't do. The result is a slow, creeping paralysis, a company top-heavy with people who were once excellent at something else. Think about it. The best software engineer on the team writes elegant, efficient code. She's a genius at her craft. So, she gets promoted to engineering manager. Now she spends zero time coding. Her job is budgets, performance reviews, and mediating disputes between other engineers. Her old skills are useless here. Her new job requires empathy, strategic communication, and political navigation skills she never needed and was never trained for. She was a world-class engineer. She becomes a mediocre manager. Everyone loses. Her team is frustrated, her bosses are disappointed, and she is miserable, wondering how she got so good at her job that she was rewarded with a new one she's terrible at. That sounds convincing. It's a clean, cynical theory that explains a lot of workplace misery. But there's a problem. For decades, it was just an observation, a clever aphorism. It felt true, but was it? We needed data, and in 2018 we got it. Economists analyzed the performance data of over 53,000 workers across more than 200 companies. They focused on salespeople. They could track their individual sales performance precisely. Then they tracked who got promoted to sales manager. And then, crucially, they tracked the performance of the teams under these newly promoted managers. The results were stunningly clear. The company's best salespeople were, in fact, the most likely to be promoted. And, once promoted, they were, on average, the worst managers. The data showed that promoting a top salesperson to manager led to a 30% decline in the performance of their subordinates. 30%. This is a quantifiable disaster. The Peter Principle was real. And yet, the data revealed an even more disturbing layer. The companies knew. They often had internal metrics for managerial potential separate from sales performance. The data showed that when a company promoted someone with high sales numbers but low managerial potential, the whole organization paid the price. So why do they keep doing it? The researchers found the answer in the motivation of the people who didn't get promoted. The prospect of being promoted to manager was a massive incentive for the entire sales force. Top salespeople worked harder because they saw the promotion as the ultimate prize. Taking that prize away, or giving it to someone with better people skills but lower sales, would crush morale. So, companies make a trade-off. They sacrifice the performance of one team by installing a bad manager in order to motivate dozens of other salespeople to hit their targets. It's a tournament, and the prize for winning the tournament is a new job you'll probably fail at. The system isn't broken. It's a flywheel, deliberately designed to burn out its best individual players for the sake of the game itself. This sounds like a rational, if brutal, calculation, a necessary evil to keep the machine running. But this model misses the human element. It assumes the newly incompetent manager is a passive victim of the system. The reality is often far more toxic. Because the person who has just been promoted to their level of incompetence is often the last one to know it. This is where the Peter Principle collides with another psychological trap, the Dunning-Kruger effect. People who are unskilled in a domain often lack the self-awareness to recognize their own lack of skill. Their past success becomes a blinding light. The star engineer who is now a failing manager doesn't see his team struggling. He sees a team that just doesn't get it. He sees lazy subordinates who need to be micromanaged. He was a hero coder, so when his team's project is late, his instinct is to jump in and code it himself. He pulls an all-nighter, saves the day, and proves to himself that he's still the smartest person in the room. He feels like a hero. His team feels demoralized, untrusted, and infantilized. They learn nothing. The manager, puffed up with the confidence of his past expertise, is completely blind to the fact that his heroism is the very source of his team's dysfunction. He's not managing, he's just doing his old job on top of theirs. His incompetence is invisible to him, but for his team, it's the only thing they see. This paints a bleak picture. A conveyor belt elevating skilled people into powerful positions where they become cluelessly destructive. It seems inevitable. And yet, some people do succeed. Some people get that promotion and, after a period of struggle, they thrive, they grow, they become the leaders everyone admires. What's the difference? How do some people escape the principle's gravitational pull? Lawrence Peter himself proposed a radical solution: creative incompetence. He suggested that if you are good at your job and you enjoy it, you should find a way to appear just incompetent enough to avoid being promoted into a role you would hate. A little strategic foot-dragging, a feigned inability to understand budgets. Is this self-sabotage or the highest form of career self-awareness? It's a lonely strategy for an individual. It does nothing to fix the system. A more structural solution is the dual career ladder. This is the holy grail for many knowledge-based organizations. The idea is to create two parallel paths for advancement: a managerial track and a technical or specialist track. Both tracks offer the same potential for salary, prestige, and influence. The brilliant coder doesn't have to become a manager to get a raise. She can become a principal engineer, a fellow, or a distinguished architect. She gets the corner office and the big paycheck for doing the work she loves and is brilliant at. It allows a company to reward its top performers without forcing them out of the roles where they create the most value. This, combined with promoting people into management based on their aptitude for management, using simulations, interviews, and 360-degree feedback, could theoretically kill the Peter Principle forever. We could select managers based on their ability to lead, and specialists based on their ability to do. A perfect system, that sounds great on paper, but it rarely works. Why? Because culture eats strategy for breakfast. A dual career ladder looks nice on an org chart, but in the real world, power is rarely shared equally. Who gets the final say on the budget? Who sits in the C-suite meetings? Who gets the headlines? The manager. We have a deep, almost instinctual bias towards venerating leadership over craftsmanship. The individual contributor track, however well paid, is often seen as a consolation prize. The B team, the very phrase climbing the ladder, reveals our bias. It implies a single direction, up, into management. A flat career spent mastering a craft feels to many like stagnation. We've built a world that tells the passionate chef they aren't truly successful until they stop cooking and start franchising. It tells the incredible teacher she hasn't made it until she leaves the classroom to become a principal who drowns in paperwork. The Peter Principle, then, is a symptom of a deeper cultural sickness, a system that methodically removes people from the work they love and are good at, and calls it success. Even if you agree with all that, a critic would point out that hierarchy is unavoidable. You need someone to set direction, someone to allocate resources, someone to make the hard calls. An organization with all specialists and no managers would be chaos. A ship with 100 expert navigators and no captain is still going to run aground. This structure, with all its flaws, is what allows thousands of people to coordinate their efforts toward a single goal. It's what builds cities, launches rockets, and cures diseases. The problem might be real, but the hierarchical solution is the only one that scales. That's a powerful point. But it misses the core indictment of the Peter Principle. The principle doesn't argue against having a captain. It argues that our method of choosing the captain is to find the best rower on the ship and give them the helm, taking away our best rower and gaining a terrible captain in a single move. The skills are different. The jobs are different. And by pretending they're just rungs on the same ladder, we set everyone up for failure. We create organizations full of people who are haunted by the ghost of the job they used to be good at. This leaves us in an impossible position. Promoting based on proven, objective performance seems like the fairest, most motivating system, but the data shows it reliably seeds the organization with incompetence. The alternative, promoting based on a subjective assessment of potential, opens the door to bias, favoritism, and cronyism. It risks demotivating the very star players who drive today's success. You're damned if you do, and damned if you don't. You've worked for this person. Maybe you've seen them in the mirror, struggling in a job that feels one size too big. Maybe you're looking at that next rung on the ladder right now, feeling both the pull of ambition and the cold fear of inadequacy. So, where do you draw the line? If you're a top performer, do you take the promotion you might fail at? Or do you find a way to stay where you thrive, even if it means being seen as less ambitious? And if you're the one making the decision, do you reward the quantifiable past or make a risky bet on an unproven future? The entire health of your organization and the careers of every person in it hangs on that answer.